Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Glad, Chief Medical Officer of Fullscript, the leading healthcare platform for providers to prescribe healthcare's best supplements, drive better patient outcomes, and scale practice growth with unparalleled efficiency. As a healthcare provider, I know that finding time to stay up to date on the latest trends and research in modern medicine can be a daunting task. That's why I'm excited to share a cutting-edge supplement course our team of medical experts worked on in collaboration with A4M and several industry experts, designed to help you navigate supplements and make more informed clinical decisions. Throughout the 16 hours of content, we'll give you the clinical context you'll need to confidently recommend supplements to your patients. The A4M Supplement Certification course is the perfect starting point or clinical update for optimizing your supplement treatment plans to ensure the best possible outcomes for your patients. Go to www.a4m.com/supplement-certification-course.html and use the promo code podcast20 at checkout to get a 20% discount. Enroll today and elevate your whole person care.
Welcome to Redefining Medicine, an intimate and personalized program that illustrates a different side of the practice of medicine. Our in-depth conversations will focus on the physicians and practitioners who are redefining medicine through their integrative, functional, and holistic approach to health and well-being. Our host for Redefining Medicine is Dr. Erica Schwartz. For more than 20 years, Dr. Erica has been at the forefront of advanced patient care, taking the best from conventional and integrative medicine and applying them to prevent disease. Dr. Erica is a distinguished A4M faculty member in disciplines ranging from hormone therapy, peptide therapy, and IV nutritional support.
Hi, so here we are at the A4M Spring Congress in West Palm Beach 2024, and the person I'm about to interview is going to really bring an enormous amount of information to us. This is Adam Perlman, and he is, as of 4 months ago, the Chief Medical Officer of Pendulum. But there's a lot about Adam Perlman that I think you need to know. Dr. Perlman, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a pleasure. It's going to be fun.
Yes. So tell us about what you used to do 4 months and 1 year and 1 day ago.
Just about. Right. Just about. Well, it's been an interesting career. I'm an internal medicine physician by training. I did a research fellowship, but really did that knowing I was interested in trying to transform the healthcare system, and had a background in martial arts. I won't go into that because.
Oh, really? Wait a minute. That's amazing.
Longer story, but yeah, I did that for many years and got exposed to East Asian philosophy and taught things like Tai Chi and Qigong. And
that worked great with conventional medicine.
Yes, and exactly. But I wondered why we didn't incorporate more into the conventional system. So that was part of my motivation, even in going to medical school. Although I can tell you, when I finished this research fellowship, I was told by my boss at the time, when I finally kind of shared what I was interested in, he basically said, I'll never have a career. I was wasting my time. And fortunately, I didn't listen to him.
Thank God.
And it's amazing to see what's happened with integrative functional aging medicine over the last 25, 26 years of my career. But I've had some amazing opportunities. I started one of the earlier hospital-based integrative medicine programs for a healthcare system in New Jersey. 2011, I was recruited to Duke. I really ran their health and wellness portfolio, so Duke Integrative, the Duke Diet Center, and a fitness center. And then more recently,
don't minimize it, because that's a very, very big and well-known, well-established program.
Beautiful program, beautiful building, wonderful people.
Yeah, don't minimize it.
No, it was wonderful. And it was wonderful being at Mayo Clinic. I was asked to come there, recruited there. I had a chance to build their integrative functional program pretty much from the ground up. They had done a pilot, but they got people interested. And I was medical director for employee well-being for the Jacksonville, Florida campus. I still live up in that area. And with that role, I obviously had a lot of interest in gut health. I mean, as someone who practices functional medicine, and I gave grand rounds at Mayo on gut health and development of chronic diseases, and then gave a similar talk at a Mayo Nutrition Conference. And I think that's where the CEO of Pendulum Colleen saw that I was giving that talk, reached out to me asking me to do a type 2 diabetes study. I mean, the company is very committed to the science. And so I started working with the company on a randomized control trial, really got a chance to dive deeply into the science, of course, was using the products with my patients, had no thoughts of leaving Mayo Clinic. And then the chief medical officer decided to retire, which the opportunity became available. I still didn't think I was going to leave Mayo, and I thought I'd help them find someone. And when I really looked at it, it just checked off a ton of boxes for me. I believed in what the company was trying to accomplish, believed in the science, believed in the team. And so here I am, 4 months later, a chief medical officer for Pendulum Therapeutics.
That's impressive. Honestly, I think that you making that leap speaks volumes about where we are in healthcare and where we're going, literally. Yeah. I think that it's amazing. So tell us more.
Well, yeah, and so there is, I think, this real interest in the connection between gut health and chronic disease. And the science is finally catching up, and it is at a place where, let's say, quote unquote, conventional providers are really interested and intrigued even and wanting to know more. And of course, at this point, you have to come to conferences like this to really get the knowledge, because it's
the only place you can come to, really.
It's true. There's snippets maybe, but in some of the other more conventional conferences, but you're just not going to get it unless you come to conferences like this. And so, I had the honor of giving a talk earlier on how do we naturally stimulate GLP-1 hormones, something people are very interested in. And
talk to us about that.
Well,
please.
Let me start by saying it's really funny to me, and I keep on wondering, should I be surprised by this or not? But I can't tell you how many people who are taking, these GLP-1 analogs, Wegovy, these drugs, which again have a very important role to play. I'm not slamming those drugs in any way, but I can't tell you how many people have no idea that they're actually taking a hormone.
Well, you're not surprising me. We give it to people. We work with that. People have very little understanding of what's going on.
And I'm fine with that, but you would think people would want to understand that they're actually injecting themselves with a synthetic GLP-1 hormone. Right. That's what that is. I mean, if it's a single agonist, there are these duals where it's GLP-1 and GIP. But again, for the main point is they don't understand that's what they're doing. And there are natural ways to stimulate GLP-1, because what is GLP-1? It is sometimes referred to as the unhunger hormone, right, as you know, but for maybe the listeners, this is something that gets stimulated naturally by the body in response to a meal so that you're full, so your body knows to make insulin to manage your glucose, and so that you stop eating and don't get overfilled and your digestion slows down so you can get the nutrients you need and feel full. And there are many things that can influence GLP-1 and GLP-1 release in a negative way. And of course, there are things that you can do to help enhance the release of GLP-1.
So give us details.
Sure. So basically what happens, again, going into that, is that you eat this meal, gets broken down in your stomach, moves into the small intestines where many of the nutrients get absorbed. There is some release of hormones at that stage, but basically as the fiber gets into the lower intestines, that's where we see specific bacteria, and in particular bacteria like Akkermansia that everyone's talking about nowadays, butyrate and these butyrate producers, bacteria that are sometimes referred to as next generation bacteria. And the reason is that they are anaerobic, so they can't be exposed to oxygen. So they are much more difficult to grow. They're much more difficult to bring to market and make available for the public. Most of us historically have been more familiar with the Bifidobacterium, Lactobacillus, things you can grow in a petri dish. So these are much more complicated to sort of characterize and then, again, produce. They need to be in a delayed release, acid-resistant capsule. But the bottom line is that these bacteria live within our large intestine. And when the food gets down into that area, particularly the fiber, the bacteria eat that fiber. They then make postbiotics, in particular small-chain fatty acids, acetate, propionate, all of which typically get converted to butyrate. And then butyrate actually binds to these receptors on these L cells, G-coupled protein receptors, and then the L cells make GLP-1. Now, in the case of Akkermansia, it also releases this protein called P9. that again binds to a different receptor, just for your audience, ICAM too, but binds to that receptor. And that again tells the L cells, make GLP-1. And then GLP-1 goes to the pancreas, says, make the insulin, gets up to the brain and says, you're full, stop eating, let's slow down digestion, and all those sort of things that we want to happen so that we don't overnourish ourselves. The problem is that people can be deficient in these bacterial strains for all kinds of reasons, from antibiotics or other medications that may have exposed themselves to. Their overall metabolic health can influence the release of GLP-1. Their BMI, so weight, can influence GLP-1. Different stages of life can be influential. Even gender may make a difference. And of course, their diet, right, can make a big difference. And so because so many people follow more of a typical Western diet, higher in processed foods, lower in fiber, there's a large proportion of the population that most likely have sort of inefficient, let's call it, manufacturing of GLP-1.
Right.
And that's why we see 1 in 3 Americans with, some form of metabolic dysfunction. That's also led to this increase in the use, of course, of these drugs. But quite frankly, both through diet and with supplementation with these appropriate strains like Akkermansia, you can actually help the body to naturally make GLP-1.
Which is really important because we keep on hearing, all the negatives on the GLP-1s that are the pharmaceutical ones. And what happens after you got them to ideal weight, what happens? And here you have the answer. So
yeah, and I want to be
some of the answer,
right? I mean, I want to be
most of the answer.
Well, I mean, a piece of the puzzle. Let's say that, right? I mean, again, all of us promote an overall lifestyle-based approach, right? It's never like just take a pill, whether that's right, and it should never be let's take a pill or an injection, right? That's not the. It's in as a part of a comprehensive approach to
right,
lifestyle.
but you're talking about a country that is obese. And obesity is the number one reason why we have diabetes, why we have hypertension, why we have all these diseases. And now we have some answers to that.
Right.
The GLP-1's an answer. So the thing is that how do we expand on it, and how do we not become dependent on medication again?
Correct. That really is the question. And I'm always careful to say the probiotic in our products are not a medication, they're not a replacement for medication, but we have shown through our science, basically that they can do things like help manage metabolic health. So we did a study on this 5 strain, which is the pendulum glucose control, a randomized control trial in people, placebo-controlled, in people with type 2 diabetes, and showed a 0.6 reduction in hemoglobin A1C, 33% improvement in glucose control. So these are meaningful. They're meaningful not only statistically, but clinically. Sure. So that's important. But even like our newest product is something called GLP-1 probiotic. So this is a 3-strain formulation. And we did a consumer study and showed in that consumer study there was a 91% reduction in cravings in people that took the GLP-1 probiotic. So, we know that it can help people better manage a lot of the things that they are sort of challenged with at times as it relates to their overall health, their metabolic health, trying to maintain a healthy weight, all of those things. Medications certainly have a role to play, but I know in my practice, anytime I can find a more, let's call it natural way to help people reach their goals, that's always something I'm interested in doing. At the end of the day, I don't really believe there's all these different types of medicine. There's really only the best medicine we know how to practice based on the evidence, and some evidence is stronger than others, but I only try to practice the best evidence I can practice. I try to find the best solutions for my patients, or, in the case of Pendulum, really make sure that what we're providing has evidence behind it so that they can find on their own the best solutions, because they don't need a physician to prescribe this for them, obviously, when it's available directly to a consumer. But really using that evidence to guide our decisions, but also being very respectful of the patient's wishes and what they're looking for and the approach that they want, or the consumer in the case of some of these other products. I think that's what's really key. And at the end of the day, if the labels go away and it's not like functional integrative or even aging, it's just the best way we know how to care for ourselves and care for others. To me, that's kind of the end game if we can get there.
Right. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there with people like you, because, thank you. And it's about actually making it all about how we can help the patient and how we can get people to feel confident to take responsibility for their own health and see the results.
Yeah. That was, for me, what I didn't mention, which was really a big part of what was behind the motivation to sort of jump to the other side of the table or whatever, was really about impact. And I really felt, I feel I've had an impact in my career. I've certainly tried to have an impact on others, and either whether it was directly, in my clinical practice, the research I've done, some of the organizations I've led. But to me, looking at what Pendulum was trying to do, like, the impact was amplified because so many people are benefiting from these products, and it's just so much more than you could see in an individual practice, in a lifetime, so to speak. And so it is exciting. It's exciting to be a part of this. It's exciting to be here at this conference, and with so many like-minded individuals who are really on the cutting edge of what we can do to help take care of ourselves. In addition to what healthcare providers can provide for us, so much of what we learn about here is what you can do, what I can do, I can do as individuals to really optimize our health, our healing, our longevity.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed it.